What's up? I'm John Middlekauff, the host of the 3 and Out podcast, and you can find it below in the description. Also, you're watching this on the Volumes YouTube channel. I need you to subscribe right now. Share with your friends. Let's dive into week 2, and pretty interesting with my man Stuckey. You can find him on Twitter at Stuckey2. You can also find him on the Action Network podcast. Action Network podcast, I think, comes out every Thursday. Big Bets on Campus as well. We know he's a collegiate gambling degenerate, living in SEC country. In college basketball country, is the Wildcats still a basketball school? Or
that's maybe going to become a hot topic if Kentucky loses to MAAC school in the first round again this year.
Especially because Coach Cal said something and then Stoops kind of fired back, and I thought they were buddies. And Stoops, let's face it, you know what? Little fun fact I did not know after he beats Florida, and he's the all-time winningest coach in Kentucky. I could have guessed a million coaches that he passed on the all-time Kentucky winning list, and I'm not from that area. Had no clue Bear Bryant coached at Kentucky.
Yeah, and I wonder if Cal had some Florida gear on over the weekend to kind of take some heat off that conversation.
hell yeah. Okay, Stuckey, you start wherever you want to go this week.
Let's start with let's go Atlanta Falcons catching over 10 points at the Rams. I think the Rams, look, you never want to overreact to week 1, and that's always been a theme when betting the NFL, regardless, but especially in week 2. If you bet just dogs that didn't cover game 1, for example, you're about 61% over the past 25 years. You basically just bet the team that didn't cover in week 1 versus a team that did. Like, just don't overreact. The market usually does these things. Now, we're talking in broad generalizations now. But in this case, the Rams got blown out by a good Bills team. But there's some issues I think this team has. I think the defense is going to take a step back. It's very top heavy, but the offense in particular was really worrisome. Look, the Bills have a good defense. They're not the 85 Bears. Stafford was under pressure, the highest rate, more than any other game last year, regular season or playoffs. And the Bills blitzed 0% of the time. 0.
That means not one blitz, correct?
Not one blitz. Not one. Allen Robinson looked like he was stuck in mud the entire game. He looked slow. I don't know if Stafford's still dealing with an elbow injury, but the offensive line is the biggest issue. And Cam Akers doesn't look fully healthy. And now they're out without their center for the next 2 to 4 weeks. They're signing guys, trying to assimilate their offensive line this week. You lost a future Hall of Fame tackle. And look, Grady Jarrett in the middle could cause some problems here. And Atlanta actually looked competent last week. And I think they'll be feisty. They're a bad team, but I think that they can hang within 10.5 here. And something to note, Dean Pease, highly respected defensive coordinator for the Falcons. If you look back historically, his defenses in year 1 have always struggled. Very complex defense, switch up the looks pre-snap. Really, and they were a young defense last year. Hard for a defense to understand what he's trying to do in year 1. Usually you see a big jump in year 2. I liked what I saw last week, and going up against this Rams offense, which has major issues up front and at other positions, I think the Falcons are feisty here, and they can keep this within 10.5.
Yeah, I would say going into the season, I had a gambling rule that I wasn't going to mess with the Falcons, but I will piggyback you on the Rams. I remember Harbaugh's last year in San Francisco, they had a retirement at right tackle. And their offense, they had some injuries on their offensive line, and they were just, you can't protect. And when you're a good team and all of a sudden your offensive line is in question, you can't protect, anyone can play with you, right? You don't need Bruce Smith and Lawrence Taylor rushing the passer. Average pass rushers can, because most backup offensive linemen in the NFL, the gap between them and a starter is wide. And let's face it, the Rams offensive line in general hasn't been known as like one of the high-end groups over the years. So it could be one, like you said, don't overreact to week 1, but one big takeaway is like, this could be a major Achilles heel of the Rams just this season, right? I mean, if you can't protect an older quarterback who's been banged up, and you don't exactly have Marshall Faulk or Todd Gurley back there, I mean, it's just something to monitor. And 10.5 points, like you said, I'm in agreement there. Let's
Yeah, man, look, Van Jefferson, their deep threat probably is going to go to stretch the field. He's still out. And people have to remember, it's like, oh, the Rams, they won the Super Bowl. Like, the Super Bowl champs. That's the NFL playoffs. If Jaquiski Tartt catches a lob, they're not even in the Super Bowl.
Okay, let's head to the Dirty South and a matchup that pretty sure, right? Brady is 0-4 against the Saints. Now, Sean Payton was the head coach. He is no longer. Dennis Allen, for a split second, I would just look at the ESPN app. I'm like, he's not only going to lose week 1, he's getting his ass kicked. Now they pulled a comeback, but getting 3 points on the road. Dennis Allen had, in fairness, I'm not a Dennis Allen guy, but he has been a major reason that they have beat Tampa Bay, right? Defensively, they have, let's be real, kicked Tom Brady's ass for the most part, beside the playoff game, which is the most important out of the 5 times. But in the regular season, he's been excellent. So where are you going on this game?
Yeah, I think you got to take the 3 here with the Saints at home. Big home field advantage, obviously, and they've had Brady's number. I mean, he was never swept in his career by any team in his division until the Saints. And if you look at why the Saints beat him last year 9-0 in one game. 9-0 was the final score, because they can get pressure up the middle. They can generate pressure, and they can play man on the outside. That is how you beat Brady. You can't zone him, and you can't rely on pressure off the edges. You have to be able to generate pressure up the middle, and then you have to play man, because he's going to read what you're doing right away, and he's going to get the ball out quick, and you're screwed. Brady owned the Steelers for about 10 to 15 years because the Steelers defense was zone, and they would run zone, and he would sit there and pick them apart every single matchup. Old Ravens defenses, they used to play man, get pressure with guys like Suggs. They would give him trouble at sometimes. Those are the new Saints. The new Ravens, I should say, are the Saints. Their defense matches up really well here. On top of that, if you look in the past couple of years, they've had all of this success even when the Bucs were at full strength. Like they had their entire offensive line at full strength. Now you lost a number of guys in the interior. Your star tackle might be out for this one as well. And your receivers, I don't know who's playing, but they're all not practicing, banged up, and
Mike Evans is hurt. I saw Mike Evans wasn't seen.
Yeah, Evans, Godwin didn't practice. Julio Jones is now banged up again. Gage is still banged up. I mean, Gronk still isn't there. So this Saints team has done this against, full strength Bucs offenses. And if you look last week, yes, the Bucs looked impressive against the Cowboys. I think that was more about the Bucs defense against a really limited Cowboys offense. But Brady was under pressure a lot in the red zone in particular. He was getting hit and pressured, and that's against the Cowboys defense that doesn't have the defensive line that the Saints do. And the Saints obviously have a much more competent offense as far as skill position players are concerned than Dallas does it right at this moment. So, yeah, I think you got to take the 3 here based on the matchup and based on a lot of Tampa Bay's injuries along the offensive line and wide receiver. I think this is closer to a coin flip.
Don't hate this for a money line bet, do you?
No, not at all.
And same, I mean, one thing we know about Tampa, their defense is good. Obviously, Saints defense is good. How about the underplay on this game?
Yeah, I would look under here. It's come down a bunch, which kind of sucked some of the value out. But Tampa's defense is going to be good. And last year they slipped a little bit at times, but that's because their secondary wasn't hurt. They dealt with a lot of injuries on the back end, and that really limits what Bowles can do with his front. And they were really inexperienced on the back end. But now that they're healthy, on the back end, that gives Bowles a lot of flexibility on what to do with this defense. And you saw that last week in a dominant effort. So I don't think Winston is going to go out and light this Bucs defense up by any stretch, but I think the Saints defense is going to do its job here. And I think the Saints find a way again.
Okay, let's transition to a game that I think we got a little disagreement on. I mean, this is, really it was a one-sided rivalry. Like you mentioned, because Brady used to carve up this team and just consistently kick Tomlin and Roethlisberger's ass. But now Roethlisberger's in retirement, Brady's in Tampa, so it's Mitch Trubisky versus banged up Mac Jones, we think. I don't understand how New England, off what we saw last week, even though Pittsburgh, it's kind of an outlier to get that many turnovers, but still, just at home, to me, just at minimum, this would be Steelers -1, 1.5. Do you view the Steelers and New England just even separate from this game independently? Like, do you view the Patriots as a better team than the Steelers? Because if you don't, I don't understand how the Steelers in their home opener could be the underdog to a team that, I got to be honest, I mean, I understand not to overreact to week one, but I think we all thought New England was going to suck. And then you watch them and you go, yeah, that might be a 5-win team, even with Belichick. And I'm not going to pivot off that at all. Now, I guess Belichick's own Tomlin, but these teams are dramatically different than the groups we've seen play over the years. I would hammer Pittsburgh on here, but maybe that's why historically, maybe I've not been the best gambler.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the Pats. I do have the Pats. I thought and I was on the Steelers last week against the Bengals. Classic Tomlin spot. As an underdog of more than a field goal when no one thought he was gonna win. Just classic. But yeah, I mean, I think the Steelers are in for a rough year. I'm not a Mitch Trubisky guy, and
I'm not either.
I think Belichick, what he'll have here is a game plan for Trubisky where he might be seeing ghosts. And that's the talk at the end of this game. And there might be, hey, where's Kenny Pickett soon thereafter? We shall see. This isn't the same Patriots secondary as in years past, but I think that they'll be able to come up with a good game plan here to stifle this. It's going to be a bad Steelers offense with Trubisky at the helm. On the other side of the ball, losing Watt is just so massive. If you look back at their defensive splits when he's missed a couple games when he's not on the field, it is drastic, his impact. They also had a corner hurt. We'll see if Najee Harris can go. But on the offensive side of the ball, I am extremely concerned about the Patriots, as everyone was coming into the year, right? And it was, okay, let's hand the keys to Joe Judge and Matt Patricia. Okay, well, I don't know what that's about. And it didn't work out in week one. In their offensive line got abused, which not having Watt really helps them here. But their offense, Mac Jones was under fire right from the start. He had the most throws under pressure of any quarterback in week one. But I think that they'll just be able to run the ball here. That is no Watt, and the Steelers' weakness last year was stopping the run. So I think the Patriots are going to come out and they're just going to pound it down the Steelers' throat without Watt, and they're going to be able to control the time possession, confuse Trubisky here. And for what it's worth, Belichick, now some of this is Brady. I'll split out the non-Brady. Belichick, after a loss, as either an underdog or a favorite of less than 7 points. So underdog or favorite of less than 7 points after a loss, he's 25-3 against the spread. That's 90%. How about just off a loss in general on the road? 30-9 against the spread, 77%. But that 25-3 against the spread after a loss is either an underdog or a favorite of less than 7. A lot of that's Brady, but he's 5-1 against the spread with Newton, Matt Castle, and Mac Jones. So yeah, and by the way, the Tomlin rah-rah spot, Tomlin, after a straight up win as an underdog of 3 or more points, which happened last week when no one expects to win and he always wins. Since 2018, after that happens, 1-8 against the spread. So now the Steelers are feeling good about themselves. Patriots look bad last week. And it's not your classic rah-rah Tomlin spot. It's not like everyone sitting here saying okay, Steelers can't win here. So yeah, but I will have a big caveat here. Mac Jones was healthy. He had back spasms he was dealing with it. He looked good in practice yesterday, but now he missed, just got reported before I came on here that he missed practice today with an illness. So I don't know, in COVID times and with the flu back, I don't know what that means. There's no way. And the Patriots are never going to say anything. They're the last team to say anything. So what I would say is if you are looking to bet this game and, the Patriots could be way worse. This is what happens early in the year. You don't know a lot about these teams. Patriots could be way worse. The Steelers could have been better. So if you sort of agree with John beforehand, or if you agree with me, the line's sitting at like 1.5 or 2. So you can wait a little bit here to see if you get more news, because obviously just if it goes to 3 either way, that's really your key number in the NFL. But I would wait a little bit to see if there's any more intel on Mac Jones, because then all of a sudden it's like, not only do you have to go to Hoyer, hopefully they go to Bailey Zappi because that'll be fun, but you're going to your backup on a Friday, like a Thursday afternoon and Friday. Like it's not like he practiced all week. So if he can't go for whatever reason, obviously that would be bad.
Well, Stuckey, if you see Coach Cal at the bars this weekend at your bar, you tell him he better pick his shit up because Mark Stoops is coming for his crown as the number 1 coach in the town.
I'll let him know. I'll let big Oscar Sheboy, the big man, the Kentucky big man. He's a man about town in Lexington. Also, if I don't see Cal, I'll let him know.
Love it. Take it easy, bro. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks for watching 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description, and make sure you subscribe right now to the Volumes YouTube channel.